Morning. I'm Reverend J. Mulky, and I'm so glad that you're able to join us this morning in this beautiful place that I like to come. It's kind of like recharges my batteries, and I was looking forward to good weather, and looks like we have it. Obviously, it's beautiful, and to come in this venue and see you again. I'm so glad for all those who have decided to tune in, that are new friends, that have said they have a desire to be with us when we congregate again, and we believe, as I've said, that day is coming sooner rather than later. So welcome to all. I'd like to discuss this morning the idea about becoming who you are. But first, we read the daily word because it is, for me, and always has been, I suspect for those of you who have found it too, it is a time of comfort and quiet and peace. We all need that through the day. Whenever we do it, it's just a wonderful remembrance of who we are when we read the daily word. And it's something that I enjoy doing that I don't get to do in our normal church service, I've said, because I have a worship assistant and I miss them greatly. And they know who they are. I miss my entire congregation, all of you. But at this time, I do enjoy getting to read the daily word. And today it reads, I express the peace of God. Peace be still. With these words, Jesus claimed his authority and calmed the stormy waters. Following Jesus' example, I too claim authority. In a stressful moment, I center my awareness in the divine presence that lives in me and expresses through me. This divine presence is perfect love, life, and wisdom. It is peace that nothing and no one can disturb. No matter what may be happening around me, at the center of my being, there is always peace. It is an aspect of my divine inheritance, as near as my next thought. I release all fear and tension and embrace the peace of God. As I do, divine peace radiates from the center of my being. It clarifies my thoughts, calms my emotions, and relaxes my body. In every situation, I am a presence of peace. And the scripture reading is from Isaiah, the 26th chapter, the 3rd verse. Thou of steadfast mind, keep you in peace because they trust in you. This morning, I'd like to talk to you about becoming who you are. And I know that sounds a little strange, because you could say, I am who I am. But what I'm talking about is becoming who you are in truth. Many times we come into new thought, unity, and we see the wonderful affirmative way of life, the positive way of life that's upheld, and we think, a lot of this work is already done for me. And it's true. When you turn to the presence of truth inside you, to the love of who you are, and when you decide to live from that place, the unity's first principle, God is everywhere, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. You know that. You're comforted by that in good times and difficult times. That is a truth that it will always be true. But you go a little deeper and you find in the spiritual journey that there's still work to be done. There's still areas of personality where you feel you can come up higher, or you've been told you can come up higher, or you've had certain facts of your experience that have tended to define you and don't define you in the way that you truly are. I've said God only knows perfection about you. That's a beautiful line of truth that I learned early. That means that, like a wonderful parent, they're not so concerned about my mistakes, my human mistakes and human misunderstandings, but they are involved with who and what I can be, and the perfection of me is what they call forth. In the process of grieving the loss of my father, I remember so many times where I felt like I didn't come up to be all that I wanted to be for him or my mother or whatever, both. And that wasn't what he concentrated on. He saw the effort I was making and said that he endorsed me and loved me and was so proud of me and knew that I could do even better. Well, if your human parent's going to do that, and like Christ Jesus said, if you being human fathers do, I'm paraphrasing, love your children, think how much more your heavenly Father loves you. And when you have that kind of love back of you, truly in you, then it becomes an issue not of not who's going to let you do what you need to do to grow, but who's going to stop you. You see, unlimited, unstoppable, great possibilities await all of us when we step into the grandeur and the magic of who we are. But we're conditioned by a world almost daily that tells us we're deficient in something. We need what they have. We're told we should live this way or that way. It goes on and on. Rather than a world that says you are perfect just the way you are, and you can even become more perfect by letting go, releasing, dropping limited ideas of who you are. Becoming who you are, really, to me, has nothing to do with outer accomplishments. You know, where the world says that we need to go be ambitious and hit this goal and that goal, and just walk on in the world's way of defining success. But my definition of success is, and it's one that I took from the late radio great Earl Nightingale. And his definition of success, he was a personal growth teacher and excellent at it, and he said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So what's a more worthy ideal than becoming who you are? And all the wonder and majesty and mystery of that. You see, in the times that we hurt, in the times that we feel like we're not equal to the challenge, it becomes a fact for us because it's our belief. Now, God doesn't know limitation about us. God knows only unconditional love and support and being upheld by that spirit. That's the beauty of realizing who you are in truth. You know that you're not inherently deficient or a soul that is in need of something that this world can give. What you're in need of is something that is above conditioned human thought, your own and those around you who have conspired, perhaps unwittingly, to tell you that you are a finished product, or if you're not, be careful what you do, you may fail. And then all kinds of apprehension comes into the picture, and then the next thing you know, you're feeling like, I'll just stay where I am. But the facts about you up till now are not the truth about you. It may be a fact that you have had an issue that you want to correct for a long time. But the truth is, you're more than able to do this. You do this by tuning in to a thought pattern different from the one that you engage in right now. I've said during our Pathlighters meditations on Thursday night, which I invite you to attend, it's a wonderful, beautiful group, but I've said there is the human thought that mixes all around this world, like thoughts mix with it. So people thinking loving thoughts tend to inhabit a loving world. People thinking angry thoughts will inhabit an angry world generally, and all gradations in between. In large part, we get what we expect, and we get what we expect from ourselves. So why don't we expect the very best? And the way that we can do that is begin to question the things we've taken as truths about ourselves, the facts that may be there, and question those and say, do they line up, or can I have them line up with the truth, with what God says about me? The spiritual path is about two things: remembering and forgetting. It's remembering who you are in truth and remembering what has been said about you by the masters, especially Christ Jesus. But it's also forgetting those things which lie behind, and you press forward toward the high mark of the high calling. But it's difficult to do that if you feel that you're encumbered by things that were mistakes or regrets or things that you wish hadn't happened. Those have to be processed, and they can be processed by the thought pattern that is, as I say, miles above conditioned human thought. It is the ever-present, ever-loving spirit that is within you, around you. I've said it before. The Course in Miracles says, if you knew who walked beside you every moment of the day, you could never be fearful again. So let's take the idea of forgetting, of releasing certain critical truths. I call them truths with a small t. Let's say facts that are true for you. Now, they may not even be true, but you believe them, so they are a fact for you. I found that we can be so hard on ourselves when really all that's necessary is a willingness to go inside, turn our heads, I'm doing this figuratively, turn our heads towards the light and say, Spirit, show me where I need to come up higher. And most especially, show me the things that I'm not aware of that hold me back. Awareness is a key concept in the spiritual life. To be aware is to be knowledgeable of where we are and really be like an observer of our human thought. We can see something come out, something come out of our mouths. And the observer in us, the one that is not moved in us, the truth of us, can say, I wonder why that was said. I wonder why I put it that way. I wonder where that comes from. But sometimes we're just so almost robotic about our lives and what we believe about ourselves that we repeat things by rote. And we take it as true. So awareness of how we speak to ourselves is key. We're very aware in a social setting how we speak to others. And most of the times, it's much, much nicer than the way we speak to ourselves. It's strange. We take for granted the wonderful gift we are when we believe that somebody else is a grander version or something that we should look up to. And it's fine. It's fine to have examples on the path, but to be your own example is magnificent. And I don't mean that in the way of conceit or arrogance. I mean being so okay with what you've done to grow, the things that you have understood about yourself, that you've let go, you've released, and you've allowed the divine light of love to shine in on what was a dark place. That's magnificence. And when you grow like that, you may find yourself losing interest in some of the things you do outwardly because you're so busy expanding on the inside, becoming a better version of who you are, of learning more about who you are, what you really want, that you don't have time to listen to those who said or say, you should do this, you've always been like this, why are you doing this? Which is really a way of saying, why are you making me uncomfortable at this moment with your decision to grow? You see, sometimes it takes courage to step out of the pack. The book by Richard Bach, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, to me gives an excellent illustration about that. And those of you that are familiar with it will remember Jonathan was part of a flock of seagulls on the shore that wanted to get out and test his wings and wanted to see how far he could fly, how fast he could fly. And he made a lot of mistakes along the way in this growth. And the gulls on the shore looked at him like, you're crazy. What are you doing? The food's down here. We're all down here. You'll be more comfortable down here. Why are you doing this? Because he wanted to see what he was capable of. And I believe that very same spirit lives in us. It's just that it kind of gets pushed aside in the day-to-day thought world. We take ourselves, as I say, for granted. Well, stop taking yourself for granted today. Stop and realize the magnificence of who you are, and that all those things inside you have not come against you, but have come for your growth. A progressive realization towards a worthy ideal. And what's more worthy than making yourself the best you can be, becoming who you are? Now, you're already there in truth. You're a beloved, wonderful, worthy son or daughter of God. And on this plane of existence, you are meant to live a life that's grander than you now think, that's full of wonderful experiences where you exercise the possibilities that are there in front of you. And we always have the power to choose. We stand at the meeting point of two places right now, the past and the future. It's always now. I've said that so many times. There'll never be a better time than now, because now is all we've got. So if you look back with some regret about the facts of your life, about the things you'd like to change, the now is what you have to do something about that. You know, I've said 12-step spirituality is one of my favorite topics, because the first step in the 12 steps says we admitted that we were powerless on our own. In our human personality, we were powerless, and came to believe that a power greater than we could restore us to sanity. So the restoration of yourself to what God knows about you is an exciting journey. It's filled with the possibilities of learning and growth. It's so far above the conditioned life. Conditioned life is good for certain things that we do on this plane. You know, driving a car, remembering where I put our keys. I forget that quite a lot. Balancing a checkbook, mowing the lawn. Conditioned thought helps us by rote memory. But the unconditioned thought that reaches out to possibility, to now, to the greatness of this moment, that's the glory, that's the wonder of being in this human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we forget that sometimes. We think our human limitations define us. They don't. We define us, and those who we've listened to. Now, I've said this before in a lot of ways, but I'd like to get really nuts and bolts with you right now. If you're holding something against yourself, believing that you're either too old or too young, or that whatever adjective you want to describe, I'm the wrong sex, I'm not in my right place, you are always in your right place for your next step. You are always where you need to be, because that is where, as I say, the now is, and that is where you make your decision in favor of yourself to grow, even if it's challenging. Especially if it's challenging, because the soul accrues strength in every situation that we may not be aware of. We're either empowering ourselves or disempowering ourselves by the way we're currently thinking. Some people have said, I have a critical spirit. I've been in love with truth for a long time, but I've prayed and nothing's happened. But really, I think they don't want to go beyond their conditioned thought to examine why they have that critical spirit, and to do the inner work, and it is work, to do the inner work in the light of the Spirit to make a change and become stronger in their weak place. Anybody can capitalize on a strength, but it takes something very special to be able to capitalize on a weakness or on a negativity. I challenge you this morning to become who you are by letting loose those things that are not true. Use the denials that unity offers, that New Thought offers. Deny things that are not the truth about you. Affirm what you know is the truth about you right now. Whatever truth you have, use it. Use it for your upliftment, advancement, and growth. You may be a new student on the path. You may be one of these that I've welcomed is just tuning in and say, well, I'm brand new to this way of thought. Or you may be a long time truth student. but you want more living out of life. And you can have that by the willingness to be aware and to ask Spirit to point out those facts about you that you would like to change so that you can express more of the truth of who you are. Facts may come and go. The truth always is. In our limited human experience, certain things are going to enter our life and exit. We're going to be many things. We're going to wear different hats in this experience called life. We're going to one day be one thing, and then experience, or a circumstance rather, will come in the next day and say, you need to be this. So it's so important to be grounded in the truth of being while you're dealing with the extraneous human conditions that can change. And also simultaneously being aware of how those conditions are making you feel less than, or making you express less than. So the person who wanted the healing from the critical spirit, they said they wanted it on the outside, but they must have liked something about it, or at least been habituated to it on the inside enough that they really didn't think that it warranted going in and really doing the work to excise it and letting Spirit show its wonderful light in that area of their personality. It's been said, fear is a dark room where negatives develop. But I'll say this, our own personalities can be a dark room that keep us from the bigger, grander life that's promised to us. We just have to be willing to become who we are and do it in a spirit of excitement. Nobody wants to do drudgery. Nobody wants to call the process of growth drudgery or labor intensive or all these things. Say instead, I'm ready to learn something about me. I want to know where this fact came from. It's going to be interesting for me to trace back who said this or who said that, why I believed it, why I thought they were right, why that was resonant to me at that time. And you see, we also mature through life. So what happened at one time that may have been so devastating, at another time you can look at through the different lens of perception and see why it was that way, and take that devastating feeling that you feel about it and you can release it and say, I see why that had to happen, or I see why at least I acted the way I did, or I believed the way I did, or I listened to who I did. Yes, a lot of it has to do with memory, but memory through the lens of unconditional love. And I invite you this morning to view yourself and your possibilities through the lens of God, the magnificent, munificent Spirit that digests your food, breathes you, and does 1,000 things for you without you having to do anything. It's there. The life force is present, and it's present in your mind. And all you have to do is make the decision to go inside, let Spirit straighten out those places that are crooked. And I don't mean that you're crooked in that way. I mean those things that just don't work, or those facts that you believe or that you've told yourself. Just allow that. At least be willing. And if you're willing, if you say, Spirit, show it to me, you'll get an example. It'll either come from inside you, or the situation will be brought to you, because you attract what you dominantly think about. So there are enough situations, especially during this time, this past year. One thing we've all had during this bit of social isolation and caring for ourselves and others is time. A lot of us have. And to me, that's a perfect place to be able to ask Spirit in meditation or contemplation to come in and show us certain things that we need to learn about ourselves. Also affirming the kind of world that we know is waiting to be born. I invite you to do that this morning. Become who you are. We know whose you are. We know whose I am. We're children, we're sons and daughters of the Most High God. So we know who we belong to. But who we are is a grand exercise in this thing called life. Becoming a bigger, better, grander, more complete version of who we are. I invite you to do that this morning. And I'm going to affirm this in a prayer right now. Oh, infinite presence, we know that we stand between two meeting points, the past and the future. And sometimes the things that have to do with both can make us uncomfortable. But we declare, invoke, and affirm your presence with us, your mighty presence with us as we undertake to be all we can be, to do things that we didn't think we were able to do because you are with us. We know what your words declare about us, and that you have come to give us life and give it abundantly. We accept that, and we accept the challenge, and we accept the new life that is ours, and we accept going inside ourselves and finding out more about this wonderful gift that we are. And we are willing to be remade and refashioned in the image of the very best, which is what is inside of us, your presence. We give thanks that this is so, and so it is. Unity of Bernie is no different in this time than any other church. We have our obligations and our bills. I know I say that each week. You all have been so wonderful and gracious about giving, and I appreciate that so much. But I ask you again, if you could give your best tithe and donation so we can continue to do the wonderful work and ministry that we're doing. Our Sunday evening book studies, Thursday night Pathlighters, meditation group. If you're not part of both of those, I invite you to leave your information below in the comments, or write us an email at unityofbernie@yahoo.org. Get in contact with us, and you'll be added to these wonderful events. You will be blessed by Unity of Bernie and the wonderful, caring, loving, sharing people that are there. I don't know that I started with our mission statement, but even if I say it twice, it's all right, because it's beautiful. And I want you to hear that, because we really live by this. And it is this: Unity of Bernie is a vibrant, loving, spiritual community providing a sacred space for personal growth. We honor and celebrate the Christ within all people, and we do. So with that in mind, I ask for you to give your best gift. And I think there's a PayPal button on this page, or you can send your gift to Unity of Bernie, P.O. Box 1973, Bernie, Texas 78006. That's Unity of Bernie, P.O. Box 1973, Bernie, Texas 78006. I thank you for remembering us in your giving, and knowing that as you give, you will receive. That is the blessed law, one of the blessed laws of life. And so now I invite you to take your gift in your hand and repeat after me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I send it forth with my blessings and my love, knowing that what you give in love and from your heart comes back to you multiplied. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for your desire to become who you are, and know that as you make that decision, the Spirit follows right along with you. And I leave you with this, our prayer for protection. We say it every week. Beloved prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. God bless you till we meet again.